In The Last Critic, 60 years and a million records ago, Robert Christgau invented rock music criticism. Anyone who has ever read or written a pop music review has been influenced by Christgau, who canonized legends from the Ramones to Public Enemy and infuriated icons from Lou Reed to Billy Joel. Now in his 80s, Bob is still at it, amazingly with the same vigor, wit, concision and craft that has defined his expansive career. The Last Critic is directed by Manny Wishnau, and this film is his directorial debut, and The Last Critic just debuted at the 2026 South by Southwest Film Festival. I think with The Last Critic, how much you get out of this film is how much you're familiar with his work, how much you are into music, the era. For me, I'm not a huge fan of music, and I was not aware of this critic, Robert Christgau. So for me, there was only so much I was able to get out of this film. But for me, when I watch documentaries, I always have an open mind. I like to, even if it's about a topic that I'm not particularly interested in, very, very often when I watch a documentary, even if I'm not initially not interested in that topic, a lot of the times I still love that film. So I always try to keep an open mind and watch a whole wide range of films, even if they don't seem interesting to me. So, but for me, The Last Critic, there were mainly two reasons why I had trouble connecting with this film. The first reason is I think there's not a lot of music in this film, and I understand that it's expensive and difficult to get the rights to play popular music in a film, especially if it's a small film like this. But it is really a detriment to this film. The only music we get to hear in this film is from music from Robert Christgau. He has a couple of bands and musicians that he really enjoys, that his favorite bands, and of course because he's friendly with them, they let him use their music in the film. So, but other than that, there was not a lot of music in this film, and that was a bit of a drawback for me. And also we get a lot of snippets from his music reviews, and they're very witty and very well written, and I understand why he is such an icon. But for me, during this film, when he's talking about musicians and albums and music pieces, his criticism is very superficial, and it just says, I don't like this person, I don't like that album, and it doesn't go into the film, doesn't let him give him a chance to go in any detail. I shouldn't obviously, if I go back and read his reviews, I'll get a more in-depth insight into why he didn't like that album or musician. But so many times in this film, I don't like this musician. And a lot of the times, these musicians are like legends, like Billy Joel and so many, and Public Enemy and the Ramones, and these very popular musicians who have changed music history. And so many times in this film, I don't like this album, I don't like this musician, they are garbage. But the film never gives him an opportunity to elaborate on and how he got to his opinions. The film doesn't at all show us how he critiques music. What's his process? How many times does he listen to the music? How does he listen to the music? Does he listen to he has a lot of CDs, does he listen to on the vinyl? How does he prepare his reviews? It's just the whole process of his career, and he has had a very interesting career. I would have liked to have seen the process a lot more. I give The Last Critic 2.5 stars out of 5. I think Robert Christgau has such an interesting life, and he's a very interesting man, and to see his reviews is quite interesting, and that for me is enough to keep the film entertaining. But for me, just the lack of music in this film, and also just the lack of his process, the lack of his explanation as to why he doesn't like particular types of music, was a huge detriment for me, and really kept me from connecting with the film. So yeah, this film was a bit of a disappointment for me. Thanks for watching. What did you think of The Last Critic? Please comment below what you thought of the film. See you next time. Bye.